Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm Shane.
And I'm Erica. Thanks for joining us. We're diving back into Kecia's tour life blog today.
Yeah, if you're new to it, Kishi's blog is really unique. She takes you on the road, blending her love for music and travel, and gives this, well, personal view on the places she visits.
Exactly. And this time, what really caught our eye was her post about visiting the Lorraine Motel in Memphis.
Such a significant place, just heavy with history, you know?
Totally. And Kecia's take on it, this site's so connected to Martin Luther King Jr., it just felt really powerful and worth exploring.
So that's our mission for this deep dive, to kind of unpack the impact of Martin Luther King Jr., looking through the lens of Kecia's experience there at the Lorraine.
And maybe think about how that legacy seen through her eyes still connects with, well, with the world we live in now.
Okay, so let's start with the motel itself, just like Kecia does in her blog. She mentions it wasn't always the Lorraine Motel.
Right. It started out as the Windsor Hotel and then the Marquette Hotel later on.
But what's interesting, and Kecia touches on this, is that even before 1968, it was already a really important spot.
Yeah, a vital gathering place for the Black community in segregated Memphis. You get the sense it was one of the few places where Black athletes, musicians, entertainers could stay, connect. It was a cultural hub.
Imagine the energy there, amidst all the constraints of that era, a place of community.
Definitely. Which makes the contrast even sharper, doesn't it? This place of life becoming the site of such a profound loss.
The assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., April 4th, 1968.
And Kecia points out he was there in Memphis specifically supporting a sanitation workers' strike.
Which really highlights his focus wasn't just like abstract civil rights, but also economic justice, the dignity of labor, that breadth of his work.
Absolutely. And thinking about what happened right after, Kecia's visit makes us look at that too. The motel, well, it struggled.
Understandably, it eventually closed down in 1988.
But then it was transformed, reopened in 91 as the National Civil Rights Museum, preserving that history.
And that preservation includes the boarding house across the street too, right, where James Earl Ray was?
Exactly. The museum encompasses that as well. It's quite comprehensive.
So Kecia walks us through her experience there. She talks about seeing the wreath on the balcony of room 306, marking that exact spot.
Yeah, and the vintage cars parked outside. Little details she mentions that kind of pull you back to the 60s.
It's like history isn't just text, it's tangible. You're standing right there.
Almost stepping into that moment, but with this, heavy awareness.
And then inside, rooms 306 and 307.
Oh, yeah. Preserved behind glass. Just left as they were.
Untouched. Kecia describes the made bed, a food tray still there, milk cartons, cigarettes in the ashtray.
It's incredibly surreal and somber, and she notes they were never rented out again after April 4th. Never.
Wow. It just slams home how sudden it was. The finality.
Yeah. And Kecia reflects on that feeling, the senselessness of it all, the hopelessness that must have just crashed down on the Black community then.
He was such a symbol of hope. To lose him like that, it's hard to fathom the impact.
Which, leads us to think about King's broader role. I mean, he was truly a transformative leader.
No question. The central figure, really, of the civil rights movement in the 50s and 60s.
And his core philosophy, drawing from Gandhi, nonviolent resistance.
That's something Kecia's visit implicitly reminds us of, too. Sticking to nonviolence, even when facing intense hostility, takes incredible conviction.
It really does. And that conviction drove so many key moments, like the Montgomery bus boycott.
Right, one of the early, powerful examples of nonviolent action working.
And then the big one, the 1963 March on Washington.
I have a dream. Even now, hearing clips of that speech, it still gives you chills, a power in his words.
Absolutely, that vision of equality. And his leadership wasn't just speeches, it led to concrete change.
Huge legislative victories. The Civil Rights Act of 64.
Banning discrimination, and the Voting Rights Act of 65.
Protecting the right to vote. Monumental shifts that he was instrumental in achieving.
You really grasp the shockwaves his assassination sent out.
The grief was immense, but also the riots.
Riots broke out in, over 100 cities?
It laid bare just how deep the racial divides and frustrations were in America at that time. A real moment of crisis.
A devastating turning point, for sure, silencing such a critical voice.
But his legacy,
Yeah.
it didn't die on that balcony. That's the other side of it, isn't it?
Definitely not. As Kecia's reflection suggests, and history shows, his ideas about nonviolence, justice, equality, they endured.
And they continue to inspire people, right? Human rights movements globally still draw on his philosophy.
Absolutely. You see echoes of it all the time.
And that's maybe why Kecia's personal encounter feels so resonant.
Mm.
Standing there, seeing the room, it connects you viscerally to him, to that moment.
Yeah, it makes you think. It makes you reflect on, okay, how far have we actually come since then?
Progress has definitely been made, no doubt, since the civil rights era.
But it also highlights the work that, well, that still needs doing to achieve that dream of real quality for everyone.
It brings his dream, his struggle, right into our present day, doesn't it? Makes you ask, how relevant is it now?
It really does. It forces that comparison. How does the past Kecia witnessed there still echo today?
Yeah, it prompts that hard look. Progress made, yes, but the journey isn't over. Kecia's visit is a powerful reminder that history isn't just history. It's still unfolding. It shapes us now.
Well said. And if folks want to read more from Kecia, see her perspective on this and other travel,
Right, you can find her pretty much everywhere. She's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube as well.
and her blog with all these great stories blending music and travel, that's at keciastourlife.com, Kecias, tourlife.com.
So maybe a final thought to leave folks with. Think about how Kecia's personal reflection at a place like the Lorraine Motel encourages us. How does engaging with history on that kind of personal, visceral level change how we see our own world today?
How does it shape our understanding of the present and maybe even the future we're trying to build? Something to chew on. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See ya.
See you next time.